Funny University. We are interrupting our Final Fantasy II semester, or Final Fantasy VII. Oh my, I hope Chris is going to kill me. We're interrupting our Final Fantasy VII semester to do our very first show, Overwatch. This topic is also going to be in a semester format. However, this semester is probably going to be a lot shorter than the one on Final Fantasy VII. Our visiting professor today is Bree Bree. Welcome, Bree Bree. I understand that Overwatch is actually one of your favorite games to stream on your Twitch channel. Is that right?
That is correct. I love streaming this game. My favorite game ever, Smite, but I think I have to forfeit that a little bit and say that all I've been playing is Overwatch, and it has kind of stolen my heart.
So before we get into the details of Overwatch, can you give me like a 30-second summary of why you like this game so much?
So I like this game because there's two different parts of it. First, there's the story, and then there's what I like about the game, because the game just more focuses on competitive play. So what I really love about the game is it forces you to do teamwork, and that's very unusual for a game. You can maybe sometimes carry a team. In this game, you have to communicate. You have to have your mic on until maybe you get to the top 500 and everyone just knows what they're doing. But for normal people, it forces you to do teamwork, work together, look for group, have people you're working with in order to climb an SR. So I think that's a really unique aspect, and I really like that.
Now, real fast, just to brag on you, so you get the opportunity to tell the world how great you are. You're in the top 500, aren't you? Or are you even higher than?
In the top, there's no, I don't know if there's higher than top 500. I'm not in the top 500, but when we talked last, I was in Masters. I'm like a smidge off of Masters now, which is the top 10%, I believe. So.
Okay. So you're really high up there. You're very good at this game, is what I'm hearing.
I'm decent at this game. There's really good people. I'm like getting there. I'm trying. So I think that I'm okay at the game. There's definitely people that are better.
Are you okay? Well, we acknowledge that, but is this you being humble? Are you being humble right now?
I believe that I am good, and I could be being slightly humble, but there is literally 2 ranks above me, so there's still
okay. So we have an acknowledgement that there is room to grow.
Yes,
but you're still a badass.
Yes. Okay, I will take that.
All right, there we go.
I just don't want to mislead the people that are watching, and if anyone knows I play Overwatch and be like, she's claiming she's top 500, I'm just like, I'm nixing that in the butt, so I don't get those comments.
That was me, and I was wrong. I'm sorry. I believe Bree is top 500 and everything. She's one of my closest friends. I love her. She was a bridesmaid in my wedding. She's top 500, period. But her ranking in Overwatch may not show that.
I wish it was top 500.
That would have been your first line.
Right.
You play this on Twitch? Yes, I'm top 500.
Exactly.
So teach me about this game. You say that there's a story behind it, which I didn't actually know. So where does the story start?
Yeah, so it's actually a little in-depth story. It's pretty in-depth for a game, and I believe that the game was based off of the story. It kind of came afterwards. And how the story starts is there's an Omnic crisis, and basically it starts like 50 years in the future from our time right now, so like around 2070, and there's the humans, and then there's robots, and these humans create the robots, and there's this cliche story, almost Terminator-esque, where they're creating these robots and they're using them for their own needs, like war or trying to keep the peace, which are 2 different things, but helping with daily tasks. And these robots end up becoming aware of what's going on and realize that they don't want to be doing whatever the humans want them to do. So, classic turn of the story. Terminator.
Hey, it's good storytelling, like the robots rising up to me.
Yeah, it's
classic.
It's
Love
kind of
it.
funny because it's almost, I hope it's not a foreshadowing to our future, and it's kind of what we're almost thinking about right now in our current timeline.
Well, I do believe that is kind of where sci-fi comes. what if we make incredible technology? Okay, well, this is what that'd look like. Well, what if we make incredible technology and then it turns against us? Like it's
Yeah.
a fascinating narrative because I think it settles it actually speaks to a very real fear that we have
Right.
that I think it actually speaks to human insecurity. Like, to be totally honest, like
Yeah.
we think we suck and we think computers are much better because I can be asked, I can be like woken up and somebody can be like, what's 3 times 3? And I'll be like, I have no idea. I just Fortunately, computers are capable to be like 3 times 3, 9 every time, whether they just woke up or they're just about to turn off, kind of thing.
Right.
And so that level of perfection, I think, speaks to our insecurities. And so we see that and we go, oh, anything that is perfect will eventually decide that we can't survive because we are imperfect.
Right.
But I think that's a limited narrative because, like, I don't look at ants and go, oh, ants are imperfect. I have the power and capability to destroy them because they are imperfect. Let me destroy them. Like, no, they exist in their imperfect way. I exist in mine, and we're cool until they try to get into my house.
Yeah. True. There's a truth
So
to
I'm
that,
hoping
but there's also people that seek out to destroy ants for the fun of it and
monsters.
mindlessly.
We call them monsters, and we get them counseling.
Yeah, but in the scheme of things, you mindlessly step on ants most of the time. You don't even notice them. So,
well, hopefully our robot overlords won't mindlessly step on us.
Okay, and the thing about the robots is that they are the same size. They are like similar.
Okay.
So, there's some big robots, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying like in general, they're around the same size. So, let's just say that that's a fair comparison. We're not comparing robots to ants, humans being the ants. It's pretty similar.
Good.
So what happened out of the robots creating an awareness, like I said, was the Omnic Crisis. And in order to stop the Omnic Crisis, which is kind of a robot war, basically, Overwatch was formed to stop them. And Overwatch is the game that we're here talking about, essentially. So the Omnic Crisis is the rebellion of robots against their creators. They were created in factories to be self-improving robots and built to help boost the economy and create stability. Per most people's expectation, they became self-aware and started attacking people. They banded together, and that was the war.
And what was that called again? The what crisis?
The Omnic Crisis.
Omnic Crisis. Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
So the war was definitely like a really gruesome battle between the Omnic and Overwatch and the people. And one of the Omnics that I want to talk about is Bastion. He's a character in Overwatch. He's actually considered a neutral character now, but in the beginning he was a part of the Omnic, and he was essentially what they would call evil. He was fighting the front line against the Omnics, and in Overwatch you probably couldn't really tell that, but because he's really sweet and kind looking and he's fun to play, but he definitely was like one of the frontline soldiers. So I have a short little video for us to watch so we can kind of get a feel of what the battle was and kind of get a feel of what Bastion's like.
And he was fighting for the robots against Overwatch and people, right?
Yeah, in the beginning.
Okay.
So the kind of the theme with Bastion is that he has this small little bird that's with him, and you don't really know why the bird is with him in the game. You just kind of see the bird there, and it's kind of cute little partner thing that's going on. But the story kind of illuminates, I guess, why the bird's there, but also is very sad. So let's just check this out.
Cute.
And so this is Bastion left over from the war. I think he's one of the few that were left.
Oh, don't kill it. So heartwarming.
The music helps.
Yeah.
So it's my understanding, and I may not be correct on this, but that's him being told to go to the Omnicrisis or the war battlefield. But I'm not 100% positive on that.
Don't kill the deer. I'm waiting for him to suddenly just like boom and just destroy everything and leave a giant crater. Bird to come through and be like, I still think you're great, because birds are dumb.
Don't do it, you'll rust.
This is so adorable. Oh no. The cute music has stopped. Shit's getting real.
Mind you, he's called the Peacekeeper.
Yeah. Oh. You scared away your friend. Choose peace. Do it. We are gonna have to do something about the woodpeckers, but otherwise it's cute.
Just kill all the woodpeckers, then we solve our problem with humanity.
I mean, well, yeah, obviously, that is clearly the answer. Oh.
So, first impressions?
Oh. It was so cute.
Yeah, I think it explains the storyline pretty well, better than I probably did.
So we've got a really big war, and Sebastian's one of those that was left over. He was clearly something that was hated, and so much so they didn't even clean him up. They just left him there to be reclaimed by nature.
Pretty
And
much.
now he's nice and has friends with living things, like birds.
Yeah. I mean, he was part of that war, and then when he woke up, all he saw was nature and the beauty of it, and that bird, I think, kind of symbolized the option for peace for him, in my mind, after seeing that. And when he got to the battlefield and was able to see the memories of the war, you saw he turned mad again, basically almost like a vengeance, and wanted to go and destroy the people, even though I'm pretty sure at this time the war's done. He's been sitting around for that long that the war's done. He would be going to attack people that have really nothing to do with that war specifically. But in the end, he ended up choosing peace, which is why he's considered a neutral character in the game of Overwatch.
That makes sense. And I think him building that nest, I don't know anything about this story, but I think the difference between shooting and destroying and building that nest is pretty crucial. Like that is one of the defining characteristics of people. Are you going to help build, or are you going to tear down because you can?
Mm-hmm. And he was built to...
tell me more.
I mean, he was built to destroy things, so...
Yeah, he just needed a friend. It's the power of love. Teaching a robot to love. That card's a humanity card, man. I'm feeling it.
Wally. Best story ever. The funny thing is...
I love that meme. You know, what if robots had feelings? What if cars had feelings? What if had feeling?
What if what? What was the last one?
What if feelings had feelings?
What if feelings had
the movie Inside Out?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, you'd love it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, the funny thing is, in the game of Overwatch, Bastion is a very annoying character that everyone hates because his turrets just... You remember those shields you saw?
Yeah.
Well, he's a character called Reinhardt, and he has a shield. Well, he just destroys shields. So it's hard to have any defense against a character like that can just annihilate everything. And he was...
Okay, so he's hated because he's a little bit OP?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of more so now that Baptiste is around, and which means nothing to you. But now that we have a character that can get rid of goats to the people that know Overwatch, yes, it is more annoying now. But it's a good thing. So we'll just leave it at that for right now.
Okay.
So, one of the things I also want to touch on, when we saw him kind of go into that other mode, in the description in the game, it literally says, though Bastion appears to be gentle, even harmless at times, and I'm quoting this, its a core combat programming takes over when the unit senses danger. So that's what happened in that instance, utilizing its entire arsenal to eliminate anything it perceives as a threat. So apparently the trees were very threatening because he destroyed those trees.
Yeah, I was going to say, mysterious sound, kill all the things, and then you'll probably kill the sound.
Yep.
What I wish they'd showed was the woodpecker being like, oh shit, you got a badass up in here.
Like the woodpecker's like, what did I do? I'm just trying to find worms. So it says that this has led to instances of conflict with a few humans it has encountered and has driven it to avoid populated areas in favor of the wild. So that's kind of, I guess, why he went back to the wild. Even though the movie kind of showed a little something different than that. But that's the description in there.
Okay.
So going off of Bastion and kind of what we were seeing there, it almost appeared like he had emotions, or possibly what we would consider a soul. So out of the Omni Crisis formed the Shimbali. And the Shimbali are kind of like what we would call monks. basically. They're a group of omnics that believed the artificial intelligence that were aware possessed a soul. They determined this from meditation and years of just being in isolation and pondering this thought. They claim...
And you said these were omnics that believe that omnics have a soul, or are these people that believe that omnics have a soul?
Nope, they're omnics.
Okay.
So, yep. They call them the Shambali.
Okay. So we actually have like these robots forming almost not necessarily religions, but close to, because what's attached to the concept of a soul is usually very quickly attached to the concept of an afterlife.
Yep. I don't remember much discussion about an afterlife, but I would guess if they're talking about souls, then them meditating and thinking like this, there's possibly a religion that's associated with it. But I think the first step for them was them realizing that they had a soul.
That is really cool. Okay, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Please keep going.
So where they did this was in a monastery far in the Himalayas. Their awakening and their awareness of what was happening to them and how omnics had souls led to them to push for peace with humans, because this gave them a common link between the humans. While before, there was nothing to really put them together, bring them together, and so they fought and they couldn't see eye to eye. The Shambali kind of brought a commonness to the human and the omnics and said, look, we both feel we have souls, we can be in peace, and there's a common link between us, so let's try to fix this. So they felt kind of bad about the omnic crisis, and a very prominent person within the Shambali worked to try to find peace between them all. And that's what the next video is kind of going to be on. It's going to show you the person who's considered a leader of the Shambali and kind of show you a few more characters in Overwatch, and you'll get a better sense of it.
Okay, wonderful.
When I was a girl, I had a fear of spiders. I was told they felt no emotion, that their hearts never beat. But I know the truth.
Human, machine, we are all one within the iris. Before me, I see the future. Humans and omnics standing together, united by compassion, while common hopes and dreams.
Not good.
That would be correct. So she's Widow. If you can't tell, she's not good.
I'm guessing that, yeah. They don't usually put that many spikes on you if you're a good character.
This is crazy.
Trying to crash another party, love? Monarch is in danger! Shoot her on the roof! I repeat, shoot her on the roof!
This is a secure channel. No one's...
Monarch is in danger! Get him out of here!
Identify yourself immediately. All rooftop teams, check and clear. Halo is leaving. I repeat, Halo is leaving. Sir, there's been a breach. We need to leave now. Chariot, this is Team 1. Halo is coming in hot. Over.
Huh?
I mean, I know she's a bad character, but she's cool.
Super badass, right?
And man, her hair flows exactly the way it like, that is some well-trained hair.
It's okay, her booty's unrealistic too.
Oh yeah, it's totally possible to do all that acrobatic nonsense in those shoes.
Such a sweet, foolish girl.
What's that?
So that was the reversal of her time.
Cool. Bad. Yeah. So I'm gonna assume he's not a playable character then.
Looks like
No.
the party is over.
No! No, 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 no! Why? Why would you do this?
Adieu, chérie.
What did she say?
I didn't hear it. I think she may have said something in French.
Okay. Well, that would explain why I didn't get it.
When I was a girl, I had a fear of spiders. I was told they felt no emotion, that their hearts never beat. But I know the truth. At the moment of the kill, they are never more alive.
Your face.
Not a fan of that one.
I'm sorry, I'm
She's
laughing.
super
but, like,
badass.
your face is funny.
No, it's cool. Laugh in my face. Go for it. Not a fan of that character.
Yeah, that
She's
was-
badass, but nee.
Yeah,
When you
it's
the
hard to
moment of
watch.
the kill, you're never more alive. Ugh. All right. They mentioned in that video. Sorry, I'll refocus and stop throwing shade at a character that could kick my ass. They mentioned we're all the same in the iris. What's the iris?
The iris is the subject of the Shambali faith, as preached by Tekathara Mondada prior to his assassination at the hands of Widowmaker. The iris sees humans and machines as equal. There you go.
Okay, so is the iris kind of like the wheel in the Hindu faith? It's life that keeps moving.
Probably.
Okay.
If I send you this picture, you maybe it'll show you what it looks like.
Yes, that is very Hindu.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's what it is.
very cool.
And I'm kind of happy that I read that because I didn't know that that's what that meant. So that even adds a little bit more excitement for me to the story to know that that's what the iris stands for when he alts is the peace between seeing humans and machines as equals. I like that.
Is Iris a playable character?
No.
Okay, good. I was like, wait a minute.
No. The word iris stands for
Mhm.
humans and machines as equal. This
In this universe, yes.
Yes, yeah. That's Zenyatta, the person you're looking at.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So we saw 2 characters in that video, right? Just 2. First one, what did you think of Tracer?
I thought she was adorable and very cool and very lovable. And also her time manipulation is a really cool power that, depending on what else they put with her, could be incredibly overpowered. So I thought it was nifty.
Yeah. In the game, she's really limited to 3 sprints and then 1 recall. So she's not like extremely overpowered in anything. She has really low health. But she is a time jumper. She's an adventurer. Let's see. So Tracer's story is she was in a prototype for an airplane, and it had, I believe, kind of like a teleporting ability, and something went wrong. It malfunctioned, and she disappeared. And after that, whatever went wrong, it put her into like a molecular change state where she was jumping, I believe, through time and phase shifting, and she couldn't stay in one place for very long. And what happened was someone had to vent something, which is the thing in the middle of her chest, to keep her in one place, and so that she could control it. And Winston is another character in the game, and he created the chronal accelerator to keep her more in control of what was happening to her, so she can control her own time.
Okay, so she
Yeah.
spent some time like sucked around different time zones and different like phases to where she couldn't actually be in one place. How in the world did Winston find her and then figure out what the problem was? Do we know?
So she had disappeared, and then she had reappeared months later, and that's when she had shown up. I don't know if she was really transporting between time, but she was losing hours and days of time. So it wasn't like she was I don't know if she was going through time zones, because the story doesn't really tell that, but it says she was disappearing for times and hours. So she was unable to sustain her physical form, and that's when Winston helped her. So that's Tracer.
She's cool. She's adorable.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yes. And I'm sure you like Widow too, right?
I mean, technically she's badass, which is really cool. Less technically, she's not great.
As a human being.
Yeah, she's kind of a shitty person.
So Widowmaker is a character that I really like, because I like sniper characters in the game. She is a sniper character. She has one of the lamest ults, which is an ultimate ability like you get to use every so often after you build it in the game. But she does have insta headshots that can kill you. So in computers, she's a really strong character. She's an assassin. She's obviously very ruthless, as you saw. She was a ballerina, and she was married before all of this happened.
Oh, what happened?
Yep. She was married to a person named Jared LaCrue, I believe is how you say it. He is an Overwatch agent, and apparently he spearheaded the operations against Talon terrorist organizations.
Okay.
So Talon, I'd have to do a little bit more research on Talon before we talk about Talon. I didn't think that would come up today, but we're just talking about Widowmaker. Talon decided since they couldn't get to Jared, they would get to his wife, which is the Widowmaker now. And they kidnapped her, and they put her through intense programs, and basically those intense programs sucked the life out of her. They suppressed her personality and reprogrammed her, and she became this ruthless agent. Yeah. So, and I think, and I don't know if this part's true, but I believe that's why she turned purple, was because all the emotions were drained out of her. And her soul, basically.
That's very unfortunate.
Yep. So she returned to her normal life, and then later in his sleep, she killed her husband.
Oh, great. Let's just cap that one off. Jeez.
Yeah.
So given her own line at the moment of the kill, she's never more alive? Monster. All right.
Yeah.
Widow, not a fan.
Yeah, she's a
Officially
monster.
not a fan.
But it's kind of sad if you think about the story. It's not really her fault, almost.
Yeah, it wasn't within, I don't know it's the life that she would have chosen if she had
Right.
been given a choice.
Right. So I mean, maybe now now that she's killed Gerard, there's not much turning back. If you can kill your own husband, killing a Shambali character that's wanting to uphold peace and that's a robot you may not even consider human or have rights. Can't be that hard.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And, there's an element of once you kind of walk this really dark path, for you to turn around as a person and like become a good person again, you have to walk back through the shame and horror and like come to peace with it before you can go be a great person.
Right.
Like, and that killing your husband, I'm gonna guess, is probably one of the really hard things to come to peace with. And so there may be an element of, I don't want to face this. I'll just keep being evil. It's
Right.
easier. I'm purple. I'm
Right.
fabulous.
Right. And actually here in the story does say that it did turn her skin cold and blue. Now that I'm looking at it. So that is correct. Because I had heard that through other Overwatch players, so I wasn't sure if that was correct. But yeah, that the lack of human emotion and what they drained out of her slowed her heart and turned her skin cold and blue. Yep. So it's kind of cool backstories though.
Yeah, no, it's a unique backstory. And each of these characters has had a very different backstory, which is cool. They're not just telling the same story again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
It's very dark, which I don't love. This is very dark.
Yes, so now that we've talked about that part, I want to kind of go back to Overwatch and how Overwatch was formed. And as we said, after the Omnic Crisis kind of came up and the robots said that they had rights and they wanted to go to war, Overwatch was formed to keep the peace and to stop the Omnic Crisis. This was made up of...
So
go ahead.
They failed because we know we're having an Omni Crisis. So they failed to do what they wanted to do. Is that correct?
What you were listening to and what we saw in the first video was before the Overwatch game.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay.
So what happened is this Overwatch was made up of multiple nations, and when the Overwatch was made, actually what it says is that the war ended really quickly. So that fight that we saw didn't last for very long. The Overwatch stopped and everything. And that's when the rights issue arose, was after the war. And after the war, a bunch of small rebellions ensued. The Omnics fought for their rights and the claim to having their own soul. In the midst of all this, the Overwatch headquarters was bombed and destroyed. And I believe possibly because people were starting to turn on Overwatch. What is it kind of like? Well, there was one show where people kind of turned on the heroes. Oh, Incredibles. Kind of like the Incredibles in that sense, where people started to turn on Overwatch, and so they disbanded after the bombing because 2 of the leaders died. And Overwatch now, the game that we play, is basically Winston, who is a intelligent monkey, going, "Oh my God, we have to get people back together to help resolve this crisis and fix this issue." So it's basically getting new people and old members back together and recruiting more people. That's what the Overwatch game is now currently.
Okay, so the Omni Crisis is actually pending, like could still happen kind of thing.
You
still run the risk. It did end. Okay, sorry, that's
Yep.
what I was trying to figure out, is where this was at in the timeline.
I think the Omni Crisis is really defined as that war, specifically to the war. From what I understand, that's what the Omni Crisis was specifically that war. The battle of them wanting their rights and being recognized as more than just a robot to serve their needs is a different story, separate from the Omnic Crisis.
Okay, so Winston's really trying to get a group together because we still have a lot of infighting. There's still a lot of issues, and somebody needs to be watching out for peace.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. So that's the real goal of Overwatch.
Yep, and
very cool.
That's the game I'm playing currently.
And that's the game you're loving currently.
Yes. Yep. And there's definitely more that we could talk about and come, and I kind of want to go through more characters eventually, kind of get you a good idea, get you to see some gameplay, and definitely talk about Talon too. Get a little bit more story on them, because Widow was a part of Talon. So definitely think we should talk about that. And yeah, so I think this is probably like a good place to kind of stop
End
at.
this one?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, friends, that will wrap up our first class on Overwatch. If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe to our channel, and then turn on the notifications so you know when to come to class. Please follow the Twitch links below and watch Bree play Overwatch, or any of our other cast members play whatever they have other games. You can go watch them play. They're fun and you'll enjoy yourself. You're always welcome to follow us on Twitter. We would absolutely love that. But in the meantime, we want to thank Bree for being here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and teach us.
Thank
and
you.
we will see you in the next class, everyone.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
friends.